What's going on, guys? This is another episode here in Nolan's Pod. Today, we're going to be talking about the New York Knicks Indiana Pacers series. We know that the Indiana Pacers have taken the commanding 3-1 lead on the New York Knicks with only one win away from the Indiana Pacers to get to the NBA Finals. Let's get right into it. We know Game 3, that lead was blown by Indiana. That 20-point lead was blown by Indiana. If you're a Knicks fan or if you are a basketball fan, period, obviously it's no surprise that the Knicks, this is their third time coming back from down 20. If Indiana didn't blow that game, which was Game 3, they would be up 3-0. Indiana won Game 4 last night. They would have been the first team representing a team going to the NBA Finals if they hadn't blown Game 3, been that they won Game 4 last night. All in all, no team's going to be perfect, especially in this playoffs or any playoffs for that matter. Indiana made sure that they took care of business Game 4, so they have a commanding 3-1 lead. A commanding 3-1 lead going back to Madison Square Garden for the pivotal Game 5. You know the Knicks are desperate, so they're going to come out and hit Indiana with the first punch, and Indiana's probably going to counter that and respond. That's typically how it goes when you're desperate and you're in those elimination type games. One thing throughout this series, it's been like three things that has stood out in this series. Kat and Jalen Brunson, them being on the floor together, the offensive team that they are. We know what they are when they're on the floor. Offensively, the defense is standing out more and more because we know Jalen Brunson can't stop a parked car. And we know Kat is not the best defender, especially on the perimeter. If you get him out on the perimeter, the ball handlers like Halliburton, those guys, they going to make him dance. And then Kat's also not a good interior defender either. Not like Mitchell Robinson is. So that stands out. And when those guys are on the floor together, defensively, the Knicks are bad. And when one of them are off the floor, Jalen Brunson or Kat, when one of them is off the floor, the Knicks have played their best basketball when one of them have been off the floor. They especially played their best basketball defensively when either Kat or Jalen Brunson has been off the floor. So that's a red flag right there. That's very, very alarming. But as I said, they make up for it because what they do offensively. You have to give Aaron Nesmith a lot of credit. Jalen Brunson has done his thing. He's did his thing in this series, but Aaron Nesmith has taken a lot out of Jalen Brunson, especially with Aaron Nesmith's physicality. And then Aaron Nesmith coming into this game possibly not playing because he has an ankle sprain, and it didn't seem like he was hurt at all from how he played in this game. And then you throw the Ben Shepherds on Jalen Brunson, you throw the Benedict Mathurin on Jalen Brunson, you throw Halliburton on Jalen Brunson at times. You throw Andrew Nembhard on Jalen Brunson at times. So Rick Carlisle has done a really good job of giving Jalen Brunson different looks and different defensive coverages. But Aaron Nesmith has been nothing short but amazing in this series on Jalen Brunson. You're not going to stop Jalen Brunson, but you can contain him. Tyrese Halliburton, you know, guys like Stephen A., people like that, they say that he's not a superstar. And, you know, my personal opinion on it, it's 50-50. You have people saying he's a superstar, and you have people saying that he's not a superstar. What I would tell you guys, my personal opinion is, one reason why we say Halliburton's not a superstar, okay, you would say like, well, he hasn't been in the league that long. That's true. He hasn't been through the wars of the playoffs. Well, he's getting experience every single year in the playoffs. Well, he's in the Eastern Conference. Okay, we can't hold that against him. One thing that Tyrese Halliburton has done, I think the reason why y'all might not say that he's not a superstar is Tyrese Halliburton is not selfish. Tyrese Halliburton, he's much like Trae Young to me. He's gonna get his teammates involved, but when it's called that he needs to get involved offensively and shoot the basketball and take over the game, he could do that too. but he likes to get his teammates involved first. What superstar, question, if you've been watching basketball for a lot of years, what superstar, and he still plays to this day right now, what superstar in the league that plays today likes to get his team, historically, he likes to get his teammates involved. And then once he gets his teammates involved, then he starts scoring and taking over the game and making a difference in the game. What superstar do we have that's always been a pass first that just recently passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the NBA's all-time points list? Y'all should know who I'm talking about. Do we say that he's not a superstar? No, we don't. Is Tyrese Halliburton on his level? No, he's not. And I'm not comparing the two, and I'm not saying that. But what I am telling you guys is, y'all say that Tyrese Halliburton might not be a superstar because he needs to shoot more or he doesn't shoot enough. Okay, and I see where you guys are going with that. But it's another superstar that does that same thing. I wouldn't say that he doesn't shoot. He doesn't shoot less, but he gets his teammates involved first and foremost, and then he gets himself going, and then everything take care of itself. Y'all know who I'm talking about, or y'all should know who I'm talking about. So when we say that Halliburton's not a superstar, Halliburton's proving himself every single game. Every single game he's proving himself. So whether they get to the finals, whether they win it, we're gonna continue to have the debate whether he's a superstar. If he gets his team to the NBA Finals, the debate is there. We got to say something. We got to say he's a superstar or something. Because, I mean, the dude's putting up the numbers. He's leading his team every single night with Siakam. He's leading his team every single night. So he's up there with Jalen Brunson. You could make the case that he's outdoing Jalen Brunson in this series. So we're gonna have to have the debate eventually is whether this dude's a superstar, but he's proven more and more that in pressure situations he's up to the task. So one thing that I would say is Halliburton is on the rise. His stock is on the rise. Man, when you give somebody 32, 15, and 12 without a turnover, the conversation has got to be had. As far as guards in the league, Tyrese Halliburton is up there. Whether you want to admit it, whether you not want to admit it, whether you want to say that he's not a superstar because his game is unconventional, or orthodox in how he shoots, whatever it may be, the kid has it. He's on the come up. And the New York Knicks can't stop him. Now, I just talked about Jalen Brunson and I talked about Kat. They're not the only guys that are bad defensively. This New York Knicks team, currently constructed as a unit, has been bad defensively all year long. So it's not just Jalen Brunson and Kat. It's the whole team. And it's weird saying this with a Tom Thibodeau-led team, but the guys they had last year, like Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, Isaiah Hartenstein's the heart and soul of the team. Those guys were defensive oriented. Hartenstein and Dante DiVincenzo, not so much Julius Randle. But those guys were defensive oriented, and they hung their hat. And last year's team hung their hat on defense, and they hung their hat on the grit and grind. This year, they went out and got the offensive players like Kat and Mikal Bridges, and those guys. They went and got those guys who are offensive oriented. It's weird that we say this because all of Tibbs' teams have always been defense, and this team is so offensive based that it's crazy because it's usually vice versa with Tibbs. It's usually great defensively and just okay offensively. This year they were great offensively and really bad defensively. So that's what's biting them in the butt in this series, and not only this series, but all year long. That's what bites them in the butt. Yes, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they're lucky that their offense and Jalen Brunson and his Cat to have been able to cover that up with the games they have offensively that has covered up their bad defense. Well, it's not covering it up in this series because Jalen Brunson and Cat have been bad defensively when they're on the floor together. As the New York Knicks team as a whole have been bad defensively. And when you have a team like the Indiana Pacers, you like to get up the floor, they like to run, they like to score points, and you can't stop them. And they're exposed to you each game that's played in this series. That's a huge red flag, and that's a huge problem. That's a reason why the New York Knicks are down 3-1 as a whole. The Indiana Pacers are not good defensively either, but they're just as good enough as the New York Knicks defense is right now, I would say. And then the second thing that I would tell you guys about this series, other than Jalen Brunson's Cat's bad defense, is Tibbs has went into his rotation, and he has played DeLon Wright, and he has played Landry Shamet and Precious Achiuwa the last 2 games. And he's played them more minutes than what you would think he's played them in. And they've made a difference, not scoring, but their impact, especially defensively. Game 3, DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, Game 3, they really took over that game defensively, and they had an impact on that game. They had a major impact on the Knicks' 20-point comeback in that game. Had those 2 guys not played, the New York Knicks would have lost that game. The third thing is Josh Hart being unselfish and going to the bench and saying, Tibbs, I will go to the bench in favor of Mitchell Robinson. That his last name is Hart, and he showed a lot of pride and heart by doing that, by going to the bench and sacrificing for the team. They got 1 game out of it. The second, which was Game 3, Game 4, they didn't win Game 4, obviously, but Josh Hart still had an impact on this game off the bench with 12 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 for 5 from the field, and 1 for 2 for 3. So, hats off for Josh Hart for sacrificing his role, his starting role. Game 4, I will tell you, Mitchell Robinson didn't have an impact on Game 4 like he did Game 3. That's the only thing about that. Stats. Mikal Bridges, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 for 15 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3 from Mikal Bridges. That's a good game. OG Anunoby, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 7 for 16 from the field, 1 for 7 for 3. That's a solid game. DeLon Wright, Landry Shamet both had 3 points on 1 3-pointer. Deuce McBride had 3 points on 1 3-pointer. Deuce McBride has to be more of just 3 points on 1 3-pointer. We know what Deuce McBride can give you when he gets going offensively and defensively. The Knicks have been bad as a team. Deuce McBride, we know what he can give you defensively. He's even been bad defensively. Kat, 24 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 8 for 15 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. I'm worried about Kat's knee. Obviously, his knee was hurt Game 3. And then he had that big collision with Aaron Nesmith last night in Game 4. And he stayed in the game, but he was limping really bad. For Game 5 and possibly the rest of this series, how is Kat's knee going to hold up? Jalen Brunson, 31 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, 9 for 19 from the field, and 2 for 6 from 3 for Jalen Brunson. Obi Toppin against his former team, 5 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 for 3 from the field, and 1 for 2 from downtown. I will give Rick Carlisle credit when credit is due. Rick Carlisle, I told y'all after Game 1, he has been coaching his butt off this whole postseason. And he's continued to do that. Rick Carlisle made the change of putting in Tony Bradley. I think it was, Game 2? He put Tony Bradley in because of foul trouble. The Indiana Pacers had foul trouble. I think it was Game 2. And just from Game 2 on through Game 4, he has put Tony Bradley in, and it did not play Thomas Bryant. Tony Bradley has added impact defensively and playing defense, just like what the New York Knicks have in Mitchell Robinson. Tony Bradley has brought to this team the last 3 games. Give Rick Carlisle credit for going deep into his bench. Tony Bradley has not played in this postseason at all, or even in the regular season at all. He's a third-string guy. So Rick Carlisle, you have to give him a lot of credit for going deep into his bench, getting Tony Bradley. He's bought in That's the definition of stay ready. Stay ready when your number's called upon, because it takes 15 guys on the roster to get to where you want to get to. And the Indiana Pacers want to get to the championship. And even James Johnson, the enforcer of the team, doesn't play, but he's the leader and the enforcer of the team. If something goes down, James Johnson is right in the middle of it. If a kerfuffle happens, James Johnson, you know he's going to be right in the middle of the altercation or whatever it is. And he doesn't even play. So give Rick Carlisle a lot of credit. He is out coaching Tom Thibodeau in this series. And then TJ McConnell, 6 points, 3 assists, 3 for 4 from the field. You know he's going to bring that tenacity defensively. He's going to get up into you. He's going to irritate you. All year long he's been doing it. All his career, TJ McConnell has been doing that. Ben Shepherd only had 2 points, but he's had an impact on this series at times when he's had to guard Jalen Brunson. He's had a major impact on this series. Give Ben Shepherd credit. Benedict Mathurin had been struggling throughout this whole series. Throughout the first 3 games, Benedict Mathurin was a no-show. Rick Carlisle told him, stay ready because we're going to need you. You have been a key to what we've been doing all season long and in this postseason. And just because you had a bad series don't far does not mean that I'm going to bench you. It does not mean that we don't need you. Rick Carlisle told him to stay ready and that they're going to need him. And he stayed ready. He had 20 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 for 8 from the field. Rest of everything was free throws. Benedict Mathurin, hats off to you for staying ready, attacking, not being, what should I say? Not getting into your head, and like, man, I haven't had a good series. I'm not confident. He stayed confident. He stayed ready. And he did what the Indiana Pacers needed him to do. And that's to be the 6th man that he is off the bench and get him the points, get him the defense, provide a spark off the bench for the team. He's done it all year long. Game 4, he was back to his old self by doing that. Miles Turner, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 5 for 8 from the field, 1 for 3 for Miles Turner. Miles Turner always has some big-time blocks. Last night, he had about 2 or 3 big-time blocks. Aaron Nesmith, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 5 for 9 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3 on a bum ankle. It didn't seem like he was hurt with that dunk that he had last night and how he was moving around defensively on Jalen Brunson and how he had a giddy up offensively. It didn't really seem like that ankle was really bothering him at all because he still had an impact on Jalen Brunson as he's had all series long. Without Aaron Nesmith, with his 3-point shooting and his perimeter defense, the Indiana Pacers would not be where they are at without that man. Pascal Siakam had a 30-point night, and you wouldn't know. I didn't even know that he had a 30-point night. You wouldn't know that he had a 30-point game because of what Tyrese Halliburton did last night. You wouldn't know that. Pascal Siakam, 30 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 11 from 21 from the field, and 3 from 4 from 3. The guy that's the only one on the team that has the championship experience, Pascal Siakam, has a championship. He knows what it takes to get there. He knows what he needs to do when the team needs him to do it. And all he does is deliver. All he does is deliver. And you wouldn't even know it because it was overshadowed by Tyrese Halliburton's big-time game. But when Tyrese Halliburton has needed it, Pascal Siakam has been his second option. And he's delivered when the Indiana Pacers have needed him to the most. Getting to the mid-range, whether it's the mid-range, 3-point shooting, attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line, needing to get in there and rebound, Pascal Siakam has been there to do it all series long. Halliburton, 32 points, 15 assists, 12 rebounds, 4 steals, no turnovers, 11 from 23 from the field, and 5 for 12 for 3. Tyrese Halliburton, that's what he gave you. The Knicks couldn't stop a park car, as I mentioned. Indiana shot 51% from the field. Both teams shot 40% plus from 3. Both teams shot 84% from the line. The Knicks out-rebounded Indiana 44-33. The Knicks had 13 offensive rebounds to Indiana's 5. Obviously, that's been a problem in this series for Indiana with them getting out rebounded by the Knicks. Indiana had 29 assists to the Knicks 17. Indiana had 11 steals to the Knicks 7. Both teams had 4 blocks. The Knicks had 17 turnovers. Indiana scored 9 points off the Knicks' 17 turnovers. Indiana had 11 turnovers. The Knicks scored 20 points off the Indiana Pacers' 11 turnovers. Fast break points was a problem for the Knicks. They allowed 22 fast break points. Indiana scored. The Knicks only had 9 points in the paint. Indiana had 50 points in the paint Indiana had 50 points in the paint to the Knicks 44 points in the paint. Both teams committed 27 fouls. In the third quarter, the Indiana Pacers could not stop fouling to save their lives. And then in the fourth quarter, it was the Knicks' turn to foul. With about 7:50 in the fourth quarter, the Indiana Pacers were already in the bonus for the Knicks just fouling and committing stupid fouls. One thing that if we want to say that has been trouble for Kat in his career is foul trouble. He commits the most stupidest fouls. You holding the guy's hand, you holding his hand, and you like, what did I do? Kat in foul trouble goes together like cake and ice cream. Most of the fouls that Kat commits are so stupid, and it's like he gets into early foul trouble, and it's like you don't have to be in foul trouble if you just stop committing these stupid fouls, and then you have to be off the floor for a certain period of time, and then when you come back on the floor, you committing another stupid foul. Whether he committing a stupid foul or he committing some dumb offensive foul, and he didn't even have to do that. That's the frustrating thing about Kat. The largest lead in this game was 15 Indiana's way. The largest lead for the Knicks was 2 points. Score was 130 to 121. The pivotal game 5 is tomorrow night, which is Thursday. Do the Knicks keep the series alive, or does the Indiana Pacers close it out? Let me know in the comments. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. OKC, do they close out their series tonight, or does Ant-Man and Julius Randle force a Game 6 back in Minnesota? That's all I have for you guys today. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know. And we out of here.